And good morning, friends and foes. I suspect there are more of the latter than the former. Hopefully the balance falls towards more foes than friends. That makes life interesting. No, no, no. I know, you're all friends. I hope. I hope you're all friends. I have... You all know how sieve-like my memory is. I can't remember the URL for the TTS, which is so embarrassing. Uh, more mortal enemies, yes. Hey, David. So, I've got to try to remember what it was. It used to be really simple because the URL that Mitchell created for the temporary system. Okay, hang on. Before I get into this, before I distract myself from my distraction, I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. Okay, cool. Now, it used to be that it was like a subdomain, so it was oxrs dot blah something. And so in the browser, when I started the stream, I would just start typing OXR and it would autocomplete. And for some reason, I can't get it stuck in my head what the new URL is. And it's a more general one because Mitchell is modifying, just make the squirrels open the TTS. Yeah, I need it like a pre-flight checklist or something. I did actually make one. Surely you can bookmark the URL. Says Andy Mills. I could. I wonder if I have. I'm just going to have a look in my bookmarks. Do I have any bookmarks? I have 0 bookmarks. Oh, hang on. I've got other. Oh, these are from years ago. Wow. This is... I've just opened my bookmarks directory. And this is stuff from like 2001. 2000, yeah. The dated bookmarks and things that I can find in here are from back around 2001. Oh, here's one from 2003. Yeah, bookmarks are not something that works well with me. This is like the difference between people who use folders for categorizing their email and people who use search. For a long time, I was someone who categorized my email religiously. I had folders, like a folder for clients, and then within clients, I would have folders for each of my clients. And when email came in, it would all get filed into those folders. And then if I wanted to go back and see something related to a particular client, I'd go through the folder, find the location, and I'd have the history there. And when Gmail first launched, with the idea that the search interface is the interface, then I I just saw Michael's comment. Do they say if 2004 will be the year of the Linux desktop? No. Hang on. Let's see, bookmarks. There is one that I saw was it was about Linux. I can't find it now. Yeah, so when that happened, I totally gave up on categorization of email, and I just went to fully whole hog relying on search, and it just works so much better for the way I work. So bookmarks are not something that I've used for many, many years. Web bookmarks. Oh, I'm feeling so nostalgic now. Thinking back to the early days of the internet with Ask Jeeves and Alta Vista and yeah, all of that stuff. There's a moo in there somewhere. Okay, so I've got to try to find the TTS. It was something like a streamer buddy or yeah, it's a pity that Mitchell, yeah, Ask Jeeves. Yeah, it's a pity that Mitchell isn't in the chat to tell me what the URL is. Although, if I go back through my DMs in Discord, I am sure that I could find it. Let's see. Having a look in Mitchell. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I just had a look in my chat history with Mitchell, and I believe I found it. Okay. Live stream assistant. Yes. Okay, how do I log in? How do I get in? Come on. Cast note. Come on. Get started. Go to login. Yes. Yeah, Wagon Load said, ask Alexa to open TTS. Unfortunately, I can't. I have had the voice assistant muted. In fact, it shouldn't even be turned on now. It's been muted for maybe a couple of months now. Live stream dashboard. Yes, okay, I'm logged in. Streams. Where are my streams? Streams, there. Upcoming, it says. No, that should be live by now. Hopefully it will figure this out. Oh, which reminds me, talking about upcoming, let's, I have got to, I had a freaky thought this morning, which is that, let's see, that, this needs editing, but look at this. Next barbecue is not September. It is this one. It's this one, which is next Sunday. Today, according to my computer, if you look up here in the top, it says it is Sunday, the 2nd of November, which means we're a week away. The TTS has not caught up. Gerald says bookmarks are an archive of things that I forgot to investigate. Henrik asked to say, does it work? No. Excuse me. I have the thing open, but it still says that it is upcoming. Hang on, I'll show you what I've got. This is how it appears in Cast Note. It just says that it's upcoming and it hasn't actually started yet. So it hasn't figured out that the stream is live. I don't know why. Yeah. Andrew says, if only computers could automatically highlight text for us. Yeah, if only there was like a little bit of PHP or something that was processing this and could do something like if date less than blah, you know, and past this, then apply the strong or emphasis tag or whatever it is. Wagon Load says, I still miss the bookmarks from Netscape 3. Okay, so a word of warning. I might sound highly energetic. Hang on. Oops, that happened. Yeah, so I'm still not well. I still have the pneumonia sort of thingy going on, and still feeling very tired, and I still have cough. Like I still have that cough that comes on unexpectedly every now and then. So I am probably going to have to hit the mute button a few times during the stream on short notice. But I'm definitely improved over last week. Yeah. So where are we? Oh, that's right. I was going to say hello. Good morning / afternoon / middle of the night to Gavin, Sharky, Crispy, and some call it fun. Stephen George, Scott Miller, David C, Michael Wise, Scott Miller, Russell Rennie, and Wagon Loads, Any Mule, Tech Nebulous, Paul Schultz. Good morning, Paul. Good morning to South Australia. Scrolling down. Amy, good morning. Grant, good morning. Simon. Simon said you could just look at the browser history. You opened it 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's true, I could. Browser history. Yeah, but I have opened so many browser windows in the last 2 weeks. I would be scrolling for a while. Where are we? Where are we? Where am I up to? Okay. Good morning to Henrik, Gerald42, and Andrew, Scott Miller. Did I say earlier? Not sure. Anyway. Unfortunately, CastNote still thinks that this stream is not yet live. So, no TTS for us today. Scott said, but do you currently have more than 600 open tabs? I would have to say no. I do not have more than 600 open tabs. I currently have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so I've got 23 browser windows open, and then each window typically has a bunch of tabs in it. So it would conceivably be in the, I've probably got like a, somewhere like in 100 to 200 tabs open. It'd be, you know, in that ballpark, I think. Some of the windows have only got one thing open. Some have many, but it would average out. So yeah, it'd be like 100 to 200. What happened with the old TTS? Ah, the old TTS, says Henrik, is... yeah, Michael says, one of our PMs at work regularly has 3 or 4 browser windows open, each of which has around 50 tabs open. Makes me twitch, yeah. No, I have far more browser windows than that. So, what was it? 23 that I just counted then? But, yes. But, right. But not that many tabs per window. Okay, so where am I? I have more than 900 open tabs, says Scott. There is something wrong with you, Scott. But it's all a matter of degrees. Some people would think that having more than a couple open is a sickness. So, oh well. That's just the way different brains work. Anyway, back to the point. The point is the next barbecue coming up is not September 14th. It is that. Let's edit page. Let's do some live editing. See if this reveals anything. Edit this. WordFence installation is incomplete. Oh, I've got a warning across there. Okay. So let's just, what am I going to do? Take that off there. Yeah, I know, this is a terrible way to do formatting. Unbold that. Let's just bold this whole thing. Hopefully that hasn't done nested tags. We could always find out. Remind me later. It blocks the menu, which is really annoying. Yeah, okay. Can I look at the raw HTML? I could by doing view source, but I can't be bothered. I'm just going to do that. So what I could do is put in the January date. When is the thing going to be in January? So November, December, January. Second Sunday is going to be the 11th. Yeah, let's do that. Sunday, January 11th, 2026. We are setting dates for 2026 now, people. All right. Next Sunday barbecue. If you can, it would be awesome if you could make it along. Oh, Cable Tie is here. Ah. Committing to things. Yeah, I know. I know. So, with 216 core processors, Scott. Yeah, okay. Scott needs more computing power so that he can open more tabs. So Henrik asked, what happened with the old TTS? The old TTS was retired and replaced with the new TTS. So what we're looking at here, cast note, this thing here, this is Mitchell's generalized version of the TTS. And as you can see, it still says upcoming streams. So this is the user interface where I can see all of the streams. That was the previous one. When was that? November 10th, 2024. They're not... oh, hang on. November 1st, 2025. That's when I scheduled it. Looks like it's not showing them in order because that one is an older one than this one. That one was from 2024. So you can see that this has got quite old things in it. That's because this is actually... oh, it's probably pulling from the history of the channel. Anyway, it is basically like a rebranded version of the TTS that Mitchell set up quite a long time ago. So yeah, but it still thinks the stream is upcoming. And as you can see, because you are looking at my ugly face right now, the stream is here now. So yeah, so you need to change the first line too. Ah, first line. What was the first line? These are the dates for 20... oh, you're right. You're right. Should I edit? Let's just delete that entirely. Oops. The old ones probably don't matter so much anymore. Anyway, I'm not going to overthink that too much. I'm just going to save that. So, cable tie! Again. Cable tie! So, where are we? Do they make floaties for horses? Gavin asked, anyone else check the weather for the next 2 days? Do they make floaties for horses? Oh, is it going to be super rainy? Yeah. On Friday, I was in the coffee factory next door, and there was someone else in there as well. And so we were just chatting about stuff, and they were talking about, they said that they were going to be closed on Monday. They decided to close on Monday because of the upcoming public holiday. And I had no idea what the public holiday was, or that there even was one coming up. So when I was leaving, I then said, okay, see you on Tuesday then. And they said, no, Tuesday is the public holiday. And they were just taking Monday off because Tuesday is a public holiday. Okay. If you put all your links like TTS in a MySQL database, your pages can auto-update to new links when they change. I think Wagonloads has just invented a content management system. Henrik asked, because it's a new month already and there isn't anymore the super message being subscribed for that many months where you can add 50 letters and then it plays the song. Where did it go? Ah, no, well, that... I don't know. That sounds like a change to YouTube rather than a change to the TTS system, because Mitchell's TTS just picks up, like, it connects to the YouTube API and pulls in the chats, and it detects things like super chats and memberships and then does something fun as a result of it. But it's not the one that puts up the user interface in YouTube itself. It just reacts to what happens in YouTube. So, okay, there is it there? Yes. Now, okay, a couple of little updates. I'm thinking today of doing something a little bit like a sidestep, maybe. specifically this. There was a little teaser. And, oh, excuse me. Okay, so I'm in the process of opening Fusion. And I'm yeah, okay. Nerd brags. Think of your nerd brags. Come on, come up with your nerd brags. What things have you done in the last week? Well, actually, no, the last 2 weeks. You've had 2 entire weeks to collect nerd brags. So things that you have done that we can give you a little bit of applause for. While that is happening, I am just opening up. I am opening up this and Mac Screen and Testomatic, and I did a thing during the week, during the last 2 weeks actually. I've done a lot of stuff in the last 2 weeks. I did this, and I've also done a whole lot of Python. So this is another IO mod. We have previously had this one. This is the one that exists. Why is there no 3D model in there? There's the drawing. Have I not pushed this to a 3D model, or have I pushed it to a 3D model stored in a strange location? Maybe it's in a different directory. It might be in the directory up. Yeah, so this is the IO mod that I had fabricated. And in fact, I have right here. They're real. They exist. These little things here. So these are with the AD5593R I2C IO expander, and I've assembled a bunch of them. This is what I currently have in my prototype Testomatic. Now, so far, I have been able to get these to do digital out, digital in. I can do analog in, but the scale is screwed. And I can do analog out, but the scale is screwed. And when I say analog out, I mean a proper DAC. I'm not going to go into this in great detail right now. I'm just going to give you the very brief summary. So the issue is the AD5593R has a VREF, which can be either an external precision voltage reference, or you can turn on the internal VREF, which is set at 2.5 volts. And then there is a scaling factor. So if, for example, you want to drive an analog output between, and it's a 12-bit DAC, so you can drive between 0 and 4095 on the output. So 2048 is like half scale. The scale is based on a multiplier of the VREF. If you've got a 2.5 volt VREF and a 1 times multiplier, which is the default, your full scale range is between 0 and 2.5 volts, which is not high enough to be useful for most things. So there is an alternative multiplier of 2 times. And if you activate the 2 times scaler, you can output from 0 to 5 volts on the DAC, which is far more useful. And the problem is that so far I have got the driver to, I can drive the DAC with the 1 times multiplier, so up to 2.5 volts. But I haven't been able to get the VREF multiplier to work at 2x yet. Now I've got Rob Tillart's C++ library for this, so I can see what he has done in his driver. I've tested the module with an Arduino with his driver, and with his driver it does the full 0 to 5 volts output with the 2 times multiplier. So I know the hardware works. It is entirely a driver issue. And the driver that I'm writing, which is in Python, is not setting the vref multiplier properly. And the problem seems to be, so this is just where I've tracked it down to so far. The problem seems to be with sequencing with the register writes, and there is a thing called the LDAC register, which is the latch DAC register in that chip. And in Rob's code, he very explicitly does a sequence where he activates vref, he sets a multiplier, and then he copies the LDAC register. And there is a note in his code that that action has to be performed after the vref set, and otherwise it won't work. And so I have tried following the sequence that he has done, and I haven't been able to get it to work. So I am a deficient failure of a driver writer. And anyway, so that's where it stands right now. So this module, the AD5593R IO mod, is electrically working, and it is partly working with it's fully working with Rob's software driver in C++. It is partly working with my driver in Python, and I need to figure out what's going on with that. So anyway, that's the current status of that one, the AD5593R. Now, excuse me. The other thing, so what I've done during the week, in fact, when was it? Yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday I did this. It's a blur. I implemented another IO mod. This time, it's the COM 8B, and it uses a CH32. Where are we? I'm going to find the schematic for it. So it uses, no, that's the AD. Close that one. Oh, did I even open it? I don't think I did. Did I? IO mod, SW. Surely I did. No. Oh, yes. I don't know what I'm doing. AD. No, I didn't even open it. That's what the problem is. So this one is based on the Serial Wombat 8B, which is Jonathan Broadwell's firmware for this chip, the CH32V003. That is the famous 10-cent microcontroller, and it what it does, there are different pins on this that have different capabilities. So what he's done is written firmware that runs on this that turns it into an I2C IO expander. And there are things like, you can see here, IO0 is connected to both PC4 and PD1. And IO0 is capable of doing digital in, digital out, analog in, analog out, various other specialist functions. And by tying different pins together, so this pin can do everything, this pin does everything, that one everything, that one. Oh yeah, so you can see 6, PD7 and PA1 have been tied together. Here we go, PD0 and PA2 have been tied together. Because I can't remember the specifics, but just as a hypothetical, imagine that PA2 has an ADC and PD0 doesn't, and PD0 can do PWM, but PA2 can't. So by tying these different outputs together, what he's done is generalized it so that on each of these IO nets, like IO6, IO7, etc., each one of them, by judicious use of the pins, can do any function. So it's turned it into a universal thingamajig, and I've got some level shifting stuff on there. So the end result is that what I want to be able to do is run Jonathan's firmware. Come on, where's the edge of that? Why can't I select that? Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I saw it there for a second. There we go. No, can't select it. Ah, there. Now we can see it. I hate the trend towards scroll bars and dividers that are like 1 pixel wide and you can't select them. Drives me nuts. It's like it's the victory of aesthetics over practicality. Now, the result of this is, so anyway, this, let's get that off for now. So this is the one that I just routed a day or two ago, whatever day it was. So this is, I've uploaded this to JLC, but I haven't yet checked out the shopping cart because I'm accumulating a number of boards that I'm going to submit all at the same time. So with this, what I will have is another I/O module, like an I/O breakout, which gives me an alternative to the AD5593R. And this one should end up being significantly cheaper because instead of having, so this one, not that one, yeah, that one, this one, no, this is, anyway, what I'm trying to say is the AD5593R is a really expensive I/O chip. I can't remember, AD5593R, DigiKey. It is somewhere. Is this it? 5593. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so this is the AD5593R. Single quantities, $17 Australian. Once you start buying them in bigger quantities, they come down to like the $10 ballpark region. Well, $11, $12 if you're getting 10. If you get 96, they drop to $8.70. But that is a really expensive chip. And if you're going to be populating a Test-O-Matic chassis and you want to put 7 I/O modules in it, that is a lot. These I/O mods are going to be expensive. They're nice because they have the true DAC, but expensive. So what I want to do is have this one, the Serial Wombat version, as a low-cost module, which can be used for most things. It'll do the job in the majority of situations, and then if you need the expensive I/O, then you can use the expensive I/O. But because this is the famous 10-cent micro, there is a total, like it's only a couple of level shifting, like 2N7002 transistors, some passives. There would be 20 cents worth of parts on this. In fact, the connectors and the PCB probably cost more than the parts on the board. This whole thing would be in the order of 50 cents of parts, like the entire thing, including the connectors, the PCB, the whole lot. Like if it cost $1, I'd be shocked. And that is a big difference to this, where the chip alone is $17 in single quantities. So anyway, I did a thing. So that's my nerd brag, is I laid out a board. It's not like it's my job or anything. So, okay, now let's have a quick look. Any Mule says, do your main squirrels know about your side squirrel? I have no squirrels in that sense. Grant said, nerd brag, really bad, did my tax return. Well, that's cool. That is definitely worth bragging about. Nice one, Grant. Oh, Scott says, not so much nerd brag, but the hematologist doesn't want to see me anymore this year. Well, that is a very good thing. If your hematologist doesn't want to see you, happy days. That's very good, Scott. I'm glad that that is going well for you. Paul said, is it worthy of a nerd brag if got something to work by actually reading the docs? Yes. Yeah. The whole point of this, the whole point of the nerd brags is just, it could be little things. It can be big things, but it can also be little things. It's an opportunity to celebrate making a little thing that you're happy about, something that gave you a sense of satisfaction. It doesn't have to be anything big at all. And if you read the docs and you got something working, that's nice. Crispian says, my cardiologist doesn't want to see me anymore, but that doesn't mean my ischemic heart disease is gone. Oh, oh no. But at least you don't. I don't know what to make of that. Your cardiologist doesn't want to see you anymore. Okay. Well, hopefully it means that the ischemic heart disease is not as much of a problem anymore. Hopefully. I hope that's the positive way of looking at that. And also Crispian says, okay, so this is Crispian's nerd brag. I signed an important legal document completing a long-running legal process. Congratulations, 2 thumbs up for that one. That is, I don't know what that's about. It's probably something you have told me about a little bit in the past. I don't know, but certainly not something I'm not going to start guessing on the stream. But hang on. Oh, that was short but rough. Okay, but congratulations. Good morning, Tabraze. Tabraze has joined the chat. Paul says, got 2 ESP32s to talk to each other over ESP now, direct Wi-Fi using ESP Home. If not, broadcast only works if you register each other's MAC address first. Who would have thought? Crispian says, what is the furthest line of sight that is actually usable before Earth curve starts to rule it out? And Scott says, depend entirely on how high you want to climb. Yes. So, well, if this is in relation to Scott saying next trick a chain of ESP32s all the way across town, then you only need each link to be short enough to not be affected by the curvature of the Earth. I think more of the issue would just be obstructions in the way. I remember I saw this just recently, and I'm really sorry for the Freedom units, but someone made it was in a video or something, someone made a comment about the horizon is 12 miles away at sea level. So if you are standing at sea level and you look out on the ocean, the furthest point you can see is 12 miles away, which is, what, 16, 17 kilometers, something like that. And but that depends on how tall you are. Because if you imagine, it's not, but imagine the Earth is a perfect sphere and you are at an elevation of 0, then the horizon is going to be 0 away from you because it curves directly down. Anyway, so saying the horizon is 12 miles away doesn't really make sense unless you know how high the point of observation is. Maybe it's an assumption that it's for an average height human, so so that your eyes are like, I don't know, 165 centimeters above the ground or something. I don't know. Mitchell! Hello, Mitchell! Michael says, at my height, it's closer. Yeah, Crispian's height, it's further away. Oh, what? Wagon Load says, I solved that problem using a high-altitude solar-powered glider with a cell tower repeater on it. Wow. Oh, yes. Mitchell, I did. Yes, that is where I got the URL from. I have it open right now. It's just that it says that the stream is upcoming. It doesn't say that it's live. That it took me a while, but I did eventually figure out that I could get the URL from our chat history. So that is indeed where I got it from. So wagon loads, come on, that is a massive nerd brag. Did you really do that? Or are you just making this up as like a hypothetical? Because if you did that, if you built a high altitude solar powered glider with a cell tower repeater on it, I want to know about this story. I want all the details. You've got to share that. Is there any information about it online anywhere? Is there... oh, okay. Only in theory, says Wagon Loads. Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. I want to do it for real. I haven't actually watched it yet. Okay, here is one of the videos that I watched a couple of days ago. Is a world's fastest drone. Was it this one? Hang on. I'm gonna mute my audio out for a second because
that right there is a 20.
Yeah, this. This is not the video that I watched. I watched a slightly older one. This is someone who built a drone. Oh yeah, I think it is this one. This is the video I watched. So anyway, they built this drone, which is quite astonishing. Oh, look at this. See that? Where are we? That number in the middle there. It's good that I got to this frame. This number in the middle here, that is kilometers per hour. That's 550 kilometers per hour. This number just under here, amps. This is the amps coming out of the battery pack. It is pulling over 400 amps out of that battery to be doing 550 kilometers an hour. Somewhere in here. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it peaked at. 529 kilometers an hour. It was somewhere. Hang on, I'm gonna.
Very lucky to you.
Mute that. Because I don't want to get a strike. Somewhere in here, you see the drone going past, and it is 560 kilometers an hour. Yeah, it is shockingly fast. Oh, that's it landing again. Okay, so anyway, what was I doing? I am being distracted by squirrels on squirrels here. So what I was looking for was, oh yes, that's right, I remember now. So this same guy, look at this. I haven't actually watched it yet. I built a 100% solar powered drone that actually flies. is that video. I have not watched this yet, and I do not want to get copyright struck. Anyway, so this guy and his dad seem to do kind of crazy engineering things, but yeah, I think the idea is this is a drone that has no batteries, so it just runs on the power from the solar panels, and in theory that means that as long as it was in sunlight it could fly indefinitely, although the solar panels form a bit of a not, I was going to say wing, a bit of a sail. It could be quite an impediment. Okay, but one of these with a cell repeater under it means you could have a thing that flies indefinitely. However, this is not a very efficient way of staying aloft, because this is 100% using downward thrust from motors to achieve the lift. and that is not very efficient in terms of energy input to lift output. A far more effective way would be essentially like a glider, or like a powered, I know this is a contradiction, but a powered glider, a winged aircraft which maintains station by just flying in a big circle, which uses wings for lift and a propeller for a bit of forward propulsion, and it flies itself. So essentially it just station holds. Maybe it could take advantage of some thermals and things to get a bit of extra lift, the same way that a real glider does. And yeah, then you can have an aircraft that stays up indefinitely, as long as there is sun shining at least, to get some power into the motors. Scott says wings are always more efficient. Yes, that's right. Crispian said it works out at something like 280C rate for the battery depletion. Yeah. And he said in 2002 I set up a Wi-Fi link from Port Melbourne to Wonga Park with a repeater on top of the Rialto in the CBD. Main span 28 kilometres from CBD to Wonga Park. Faster, more reliable and cheaper than ISDN. Yes. Yes. That's right. I know exactly what that project is that Andy is talking about. It's probably not my place to say anything more about it, even though it is ancient history now, and the guy that the house was being set up for has since sold the house and no longer even lives in Australia. But anyway, I just don't know how much I'm allowed to say. So Wagon Lloyd says, I can send you a private link to my page. Yes, please do. Please do. Yeah, anyway. That's cool. I'm going to, what'll I do? I'm going to drop this. This is a squirrel. Eddie Mule says ISDN was cheap if you use data over voice. It still wasn't cheap. I had ISDN back in the early 2000s, like similar era. It would have been around 2002. I had ISDN because I was running I had an ISP aspect to my business, to my internet business at the time. So I had a port concentrator, and I had trying to remember what it was. I had a remote access server, like an expensive one, like a $20,000 dial-in remote access server with ISDN coming into it. That's right. Okay. Solar powered drone. I'm just going to drop that link in the chat so that if anybody wants to go and check out this channel, Luke Maximo Bell's channel, it is worth doing. Oh, I'm not subscribed. Stuff that, I'm subscribing. Okay. Luke just got an extra sub. So, what am I doing? Oh yeah. This. Andy says, if you're out in the sticks and wanted a decent data rate, e.g. video of the internet, the ISDN bill was 4K per month. Yeah. Very expensive. So, anyway, this is... Can you hear the cars out there? It has been a big car day today. Images. Here we go. This. Look at this. Robot arms. Robot arm kit. This is this. And this is something that I was thinking of having a look at today, and maybe see if I could get anywhere with it. So the idea with this is that it is a robot arm kit that has If you wanted frame relay up to 2 megabit burst, you're a SOL if you weren't in a CBD. Yeah, that's right. You'd have to be somewhere in the CBD where they had the, yeah, all of the pits. Anyway, let's not get into that. Right, so this thing, this is something that Andy has been playing with just recently. So Andy has a pair of these, and I want a pair of these. The reason that there are 2 robot arms here is that they have a leader and a follower. Simon said, robot squirrels. Ooh, okay. Hang on, I'm going to click on a link. Andy has just dropped a link into the chat, and it is muted. So once again, I don't want to get copyright strike, so I'm not going to actually play this video. I'm just going to... this is Andy's video. Look at this. Am I subscribed? Yes, I am subscribed to Andy. So this is Andy's pair of robot arms. At least it's showing one of them. So this is the follower arm. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit and explain a little of what's going on. And I might, in fact, I almost certainly will screw it up. But anyway, so the Hugging Face project is a software project. So this is in relation to machine learning software. And one of the applications for it, it can be used for a variety of things, is this pair of robot arms. So this is like a, I suppose you'd call it a demo kit or like a development. It's the robot equivalent of a dev board. It's a generic getting started platform that you can use to experiment with Hugging Face and other control software. So what it does is it has 2 almost identical robot arms. There is the leader, and here you can see the leader has a thing that looks like a pistol grip, and the pistol grip has a thing for your thumb to go into, so your thumb can open and close. And the follower arm has a gripper on it. Apart from that, they have the same physical structure, which means that they have the same range of motion. And they have motors in them that have position feedback, so they're closed loop stepper motors. And what you can do is put them into a mode where the leader becomes free floating. And you grab the pistol grip, you pick it up and move it, and you can manipulate the position of the arm. That information then gets sent to the follower arm so that the follower mimics your movements. So what you can do, it's like a teller operation. In this particular mode, it's like teller operation. So the, hang on, I've got to, yeah, where you are physically moving the control side, which is the leader arm, and the follower arm is mimicking your actions. So you can watch what it's doing, and if you want it to pick something up, for example, you move your leader arm over, you open and close the gripper using the controls on the leader, and then the follower will do that same thing. So that's the general idea with this. Now you can see in the front here there is another thing lying just on the bench. That is a camera which can be mounted onto the follower arm. So what you can do is, one overhead cam with 2 follower arms. Yeah, so there are different arrangements you can do, all sorts of fun things that you can do with them. So what you can see in this example, this is just the thumbnail. The person doing this is operating the leader arm, and the follower arm is going to be mimicking the actions to pick up the object. Now that is purely manual control. That can also be used for teaching. So what you could do is you could teach actions and then have the follower arm reproduce those actions. So you can use it as a training method. And you can also make it so that oh, Andy says, no copyright on my channel, all open source and freely available. Yes, I know from your point of view, that is true, but if I play a portion of a YouTube video in my video, what happens is YouTube's algorithms detect that there is another video embedded in the video, and they will give a copyright strike against me. So yeah, I don't I don't want to have that happen. I've had, and the thing is that it can happen regardless of the intentions of the person that put up the original video or music or whatever it is that appears in your video. Like, when I say yours, I mean mine. I'll try not to chase this squirrel for too long, but one thing that some people may have noticed is that I used to have outro music on my channel at the end of the live streams. That outro music was written and performed by a friend of mine. It is entirely original. It is his music. He owns the rights to it. And what happened was I used it on the outro of my live streams, and I got a copyright strike. And my channel got monetized by a pack of vultures called CD Baby, who claimed the copyright on the music, even though it wasn't their music. But the fact that they made the claim means that YouTube automatically gave them the rights to monetize my channel and my videos, and their ads, oh, no, not just their ads, but ads in general started appearing in my videos, and that video in particular, and the money for it went to them, and there was nothing I could do about it. And I even, so I talked to Joel, the friend of mine who wrote the music and performed it, and said, do you know who these people are? And he said, I've never heard of them. Like, I don't know why they're making a claim. It's my music. You're allowed to use it. He gave me a written thing saying that I am the author of this music and I give Jonathan the rights to use it in his videos. I submitted it to YouTube. No, nothing. They still believe that CD Baby owns the rights to that music because they made the first claim to it. So, yeah, the copyright system on YouTube is seriously broken. So the end result was that I muted the outro music on my things, and I can't use Joel's track, even though it is 100% original, written and performed by him, given to me so that I could use it on my outros. And then some third-party assholes made a copyright claim and say it's theirs. They own it. So, the result of all of that is I have become super paranoid about doing things like playing third-party videos or audio or anything like that in any of my videos, because the YouTube algorithms will find it and they will do bad stuff. Anyway, Mitchell says, YouTube copyright system is broken in so many ways. Yeah. Dennis Drees is here! Awesome. And also, congratulations once again on how well your robot business is going. Yes. Your for that Crowbot vid? What was the Crowbot vid? Scott says, just wait, soon someone will claim copyright on your face. Yeah, and I know who it'll be. It'll be Pete. Pete will claim copyright on my face, saying that he is the only one who has the right to insult it. No, I claim the right to I claim the right to insult my own face. So anyway, what I was getting to is, you see that on this camera, so this is back to Andy's video. In this video, the camera, there is a camera just there, mounted on the side of the gripper, on the wrist joint. And what that does is allow the computer to have a view of the pickup area right around the gripper. So there is the camera right on the gripper pointing at the gripper location. And it can then be used to to do things like guide the gripper to pick up an object. And the way Andy has been doing this is that he has a camera that is mounted high up, looking straight down on a desk lamp. So he's got a desk lamp stand with a camera attached to it. So there is an overall scene camera looking down, and then there is the camera attached to the robot gripper. And the idea is to be able to put objects, for example, into that area and have the computer find the location of the objects, move the arm to it, pick them up, and then put them in the container in this particular instance. So what he's doing here is training it to pick up a cube and drop it in the bucket. And I think I saw the annotation was a fail on that particular one. Put in bucket, fail. Episodes, steps 32,000, put in bucket, fail. So it looks like it's picking it up and moves it. Where does it put it? It said fail, but hang on. It was over the bucket there. Okay. And so it then moved it away from the bucket. Put in bucket, okay. All right, so it picked up that one, moved it across, released it into the bucket. Hooray! Look at the googly eyes on it. I only just noticed that. All robots need googly eyes. You can't really see it when it's at that angle, but hang on, I'm going to see if I can find a better angle. Yeah, just here. Look at this. Googly eyes. Nice one, Andy. So it's like a beak. It's like a vertical pickup thing. It's got the googly eyes there. It looks like a bird holding something in its beak. It's just got a bit of blue bread. The camera is off to the side. So yeah. Looks like Claude the Crow. Yeah. So, that'd be the rest. No, yeah, sorry, I'm just looking back through chat for a second. Okay, so this is one of the many things that Andy has been experimenting with recently. And it looks like fun. I want to get in on the action. So that is why I have this. This is pieces. I'm just reaching off to my right here. This is pieces of an SO101 arm. You can see I've 3D printed several sets actually. And I've got interface boards and I've got motors and all sorts of stuff in there. So I have the makings of a pair of SO101 robot arms, but I do not have the SO101 robot arms. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, I needed another cough break. In fact, I'm going to take a little drink. Which, despite the look of it, is not coffee. It looks like coffee, but it's actually orange, some orange fizzy thing. What was it? I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's like Fanta, but not. Scott says, gonna train it to load and unload the Test-O-Matic? Yes. Potentially. Yeah, so that is kind of an ambitious goal because the accuracy required to put a PCB into Test-O-Matic is, yeah, it's significant. You've got to, getting it in is going to require it to be absolutely spot on in terms of its position. What I was thinking was more along the lines of using it to pick up PCBs, put them into a light box, and then withdrawing the arm so a photo can be taken, and then picking it up and taking it back out of the light box. I think that is my intermediate goal. The short-term goal is to just get the SO101 up and running so that it's assembled, it's physically assembled, and mechanically and electrically it's working, and then get into the hard bit, which is following in Andy's footsteps with all of the software and the work that he's been doing for setting these up using machine vision and training and all of that sort of thing. So as Andy said in fact, I'm going to bring this down. So this this is what Andy was just mentioning in the chat, the Lakiwi robot base. Now, in this particular thing, you can see it with an SO101 arm on it. The Lakiwi is a three-wheeled base, a motorized base, and it's got Omni wheels on it. Dynamixel version. Yeah, okay, so Dynamixel Lakiwi. Are there any other pictures? It's a little bit hard to see here because it's got the arm on it. I was looking for a picture of the base just on its own. Oh, here we go. This is a Lakiwi kit. So Lakiwi is, oh, I can't remember what it was. Andy was just telling me a couple of days ago why it's called Lakiwi. It's the something. What does Kiwi? Yeah, it has some particular meaning. There is a joke reason that it is named this. So it's a three-wheel. Oh, hang on. You missed my nerd brag number 2 at 10:53. Okay, hang on. I've got to scroll back. 10:53. Oh, okay. So Crispian's nerd brag number 2 called the races all day at Ballarat Drag Racing Club's first 2025 event last weekend. Nice. So is the next thing that you're going to become like a horse racing race caller? Not that you should have anything to do with horse racing. Or you could become an auctioneer. Yeah, so the Lakiwi is a general purpose robotic base that you can use for whatever things. It's a building block. By itself, it doesn't really do very much other than move around. It is just a platform that allows you to move in any direction, and then you can attach things to it. And the reason that the Wagon says, nerd brag, the SP32 to AY3 8910 sound effects to make a JSON controlled Burroughs 205B bat computer with time tunnel computer twinkle sounds. Those are some words. Those are definitely some words. Whatever they mean. I'm happy for you. Sounds like a good thing to brag about. So this is, yeah, and then this platform, now if you don't know how these Omni wheels work, you might look at this and think, how the hell does this even move? It's got 3 wheels that are all askew, all akimbo, which means that it can't drive in any direction because there's going to be drag. But no, it does actually work because these are Omni wheels which can be moved sideways. Omni wheels allow you to apply a driving force when they rotate, but they can also side slip because they have these little rollers all around them, which are on bearings that roll sideways, which means if you get an Omni wheel, you can move it side to side with very little friction. It rolls sideways easily. But if you rotate it around its normal axis, it will apply force to the surface. And the result is that with a robot like this, if this robot was driving directly up, the way, imagine this is the front of it, then what you would do is you would rotate these front two wheels so that they are in a normal rotating position, and that would drive the robot forwards. And as it's moving forwards, the wheels would be rotating and applying a driving force against the ground going backwards. One of them is going to be trying to push it one way, the other trying to push it the other, but they will both side slip and it will move forwards. And the wheel at the back will just drag, and it'll drag with very little friction because the rollers on the surface will just roll. So this robot, even though it looks really awkward, can actually drive forward very efficiently. And more than that, it can drive in any direction with that combination of the three wheels. By calculating the rate of rotation for each of the three wheels that you need, you can have that platform rotate on the spot. You can have it move in any direction at all. So you could have it stay oriented and move in a circle. You could have it rotate. You could have it drive in a curve. You could drive in a straight line laterally, like anywhere. So it is it's a very flexible movement platform, which is particularly useful if you are doing something like attaching a robot gripper onto it, because what you can do is sidestep really easily. It's not like driving a car. It is actually far more flexible than even something like skid steer with it, like a tank style skid steer, because if you've got two tank tracks, you can turn on the spot, which is great, and you can move forwards and backwards, and you can drive in curves, but you can't move sideways, directly sideways. And that can be really, really useful because if you've got a gripper coming out the front, for example, or a manipulator that you want to use to pick things up, what you can do is drive forwards, and then you can sidestep in order to get your gripper at the correct angle. If there is something that is against a wall or in a certain position that you need to get to, you can sidestep around to get to it. You can orbit around. So for example, what you could do is have the gripper at a fixed location in space. So imagine the gripper was hanging out the front of the robot. It was out here somewhere, and that was the position at which you wanted to orbit. What you could do is have the robot sidestep around a circle so that the gripper stayed in the exact same point, but it just rotated. So it gives you so much flexibility. Wagonload says, look up the Honda U3X unicycle. It can roll in any direction. Wow. Tabraze says, why is this considered efficient if the horizontal force is always in opposition? I get that it has flexibility, but shouldn't this be at the cost of efficiency? That is an excellent question, Tabraze. So there is, to explain this, I need to draw diagrams. Like, this is the sort of thing that I would explain with a whiteboard or at least a piece of paper and draw some force vectors. So, okay, now, how am I going to do this? Imagine let's try something. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try taking a screenshot of that. Boink. And then I'm going to see if I can find that screenshot. And where is it? Desktop. Here we go. Okay. Here is the screenshot, which means that I can draw on it. Drawing tools. Hooray! This is probably going to be a total disaster. Okay, now imagine this wheel at the front is, hang on, how do I draw on this? Is it this? Is it this? Lasso, no. That's writing. What? Isn't this the draw tool? Okay, let's see if I can click from there to there. What if I, no. Why is, no, cancel that. I just want a simple drawing tool. What is that one? Oh, that's a handwriting thing. That's a text thing. No, I don't want that. Oh, line. That'll do. Okay. So, hang on. All right, let's try making it red. What? Why? I feel like an idiot. Why can't I draw on this thing? Okay. Affinity photo. Let's try this instead. Affinity, yeah. Remind me about that later. Affinity photo. Let's get rid of that and that. Stick that into there. Maybe I'll have more luck with this. Okay. Affinity photo. So, now, do I have a drawing tool in Affinity Photo? Paint bucket, what's that one? Paintbrush tool. Yeah, that'll do. All right, now, how do I change color? Where is the palette? Auto colors, no. That is, okay, tool. How do I change the tool size? This is not what you came here for, is it? I don't know how to use Affinity Photo. Oh, okay, here, opacity 100% with 64 pix. Okay, let's take that down smaller. And let's make it, where's the color? Symmetry, weightages, project area, whatever, okay. That was a terribly unstraight line. I'm trying to find how to change the color of, I've got the tool selected here, protect alpha, wet edges, those are all options, but color is not an option unless it's one of these things up here. Auto levels, no. Oh, maybe this is it. No. Why isn't the color picker like one of the front and center things? Ah, stupid. Stupid, non-obvious. Okay, so imagine you are driving this wheel in this direction. So you are rotating it to go over that way. You are moving it in that direction. And you are driving this wheel in that direction. So it is also rotating forward. Now, to some extent, those are going to be opposing each other. And if you consider, so the sum movement of this is going to be in a forward direction, like this. And if you look at the force vectors involved, there is the forward force vector from this wheel, and there is the sideways force vector. Although actually it might be the other direction. So, oh no, it will be. So it is trying to, so if you look at this left wheel, it is driving in this direction, which consists of a vector in this direction and a vector in this direction. If you sum those two vectors, you get this one. And this has the opposing force. So it is driving in this direction, you get the forward vector, and you get the lateral vector. Now what you can see is that the left and right lateral vectors cancel each other out. One is pushing one way, the other is pushing the other way, and if you sum those two vectors, you get 0. But these forward components of the vector are directed in the same direction, and therefore you get movement in the forward direction. Now, that is going to be less than the energy that is put in because these two are opposing each other. So what happens is that your efficiency is not going to be 100%. So was it to braze? No, not half the energy. It'll be less than half the energy. Oh, and he said, can't find a citation, but when driving forwards, a 3 omni-wheel Kiwi drive has a theoretical motor efficiency of approximately 66.7%, or 2 motors worth of effective power from 3 motors. Yep, and that is because of the Pythagoras theorem that is going on here. So think of this as a triangle. The energy that the motor is putting in is the long side, so that is the hypotenuse of the triangle, and then we have the long side of the triangle here and the short side of the triangle, because this is a right angle right here, and this is a right angle right here. And if you look at this, so a squared equals b squared plus c squared, all of that sort of high school trigonometry stuff, and you consider the angle that the motors are at. So these motors are at a fixed angle, that can't change. And that angle, I can't really show it with black on black there, but the angle in here that the motor is tilted determines the ratio of the two vectors here, the part that is wasted. So the closer that the wheels get to parallel, the smaller the horizontal vector becomes and the less waste there is. If they were directly opposing each other, you would get 100% energy waste because the wheels are trying to drive towards each other, and they're expending 100% of their energy and going nowhere because they are both directly opposing. When you have something in the middle like this, a proportion of the energy goes into moving forwards, and a proportion of the energy is wasted trying to drive towards each other. So with 3 wheels like this, that dictates the angle that they are relative to each other. You are wasting the energy from the horizontal force vector, but you are using the energy from the vertical force vector in this example where we're just trying to move directly straight forwards. What's the vector, Victor? Yeah. Tabray says, I assumed half because I said 45, but if it's 120, then you probably get near thirds. Yes, exactly. Yes. So, and that is why, so these are 120 degree, if you take it's going to be a triangle, it sums to 180, so no, doesn't it sums to 2, yeah, anyway. I can't remember my high school geometry, but effectively we have a triangle that is like this, and then these angles inside here are all going to be equal. It's all out of proportion because I had to try to keep it to fit within the canvas here, but the proportion here is going to dictate the the proportion of the vector dictates the efficiency. So yeah, that side ratio would be 2-to-1 or something, whatever the triangle side ratio is. Stephen says the total sum of John is a person. Maybe. Paul said you might be confusing effective force and energy efficiency. I'm sure you are correct. My assumption, whenever someone smarter than me tells me something, is that they are correct. In fact, my assumption whenever anyone tells me something is that they are correct. So Wagonlight says, this same wheel arrangement with the motor tilted so the wheels roll on the surface of a ball can make a self-balancing robot. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Jackstack says, if you drove all 3 wheels in the same direction and did a burnout, it would be 100% effective from a kinetics perspective. There will always be electrical energy loss. Yeah, very close. Assuming you had a zero contact, like a zero size contact patch, then theoretically you would be, as the contact patch gets smaller, you would approach 100% mechanical efficiency if you were doing, if the whole thing was just spinning on the spot. Yes, that is right. Andy says, cheated and used ChatGPT 5 for analysis. Ooh, okay. I'm going to click on this link. Yes. Yeah, Jacksec says, Paul is correct. Yeah, I'm sure Paul is correct. Paul is a very smart nerd. So, right Python, this is thought for 51 seconds, 6 seconds. Okay, unit useful body power, absolute wheel mechanical power, computes the pi. Okay. All right. Any cosine losses you may have heard about are not fundamental. Energy losses in this ideal model, they come from controller choices. Yeah. All right. The rain is coming through Adelaide, says Paul. Well, it'll take a little while before it gets to here in Melbourne. You're a little distance west of me, Paul. How far west are you? You're probably, at a guess, how far is Adelaide from Melbourne? I think it's like 600, 700 kilometres, give or take. Scott says, okay, I'm just going to back up in the chat here for a second. This was Wagonload's previous comment that I read out, which is this same wheel arrangement with the motor tilted so the wheels roll on the surface of a ball can make a self-balancing robot. And then Scott says, technically, leave the wheels vertical and lose the ball, still self-balancing because it's sitting on the floor. Yeah, that's right. Oh, Any Mule says 900 kilometres by road. Oh, and Paul says 900 kilometres. Yeah. Crispian said 770. Jack Sack said 800 Ks. So the, yeah, I have a vague recollection that it doesn't take that long to drive there. Like the last time I drove to Adelaide was a year ago. No, it was less than a year ago. But that wasn't from Melbourne. It was driving from sort of north central Victoria with Angus. I'm not going to say the location because I don't want to dox his location, but I drove to Angus's place and then we drove from Angus's place to Adelaide in his EV. And I don't remember how long it took. And anyway, it wasn't from Melbourne. So what's my point? What is my point? What is my point? Jack's Tech said, can drive it in a day, but probably shouldn't if you're driving alone. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we did. Crispian says about 7 hours. Yeah, it took us, I think it took us about 9 hours because or maybe it was a bit less than that, maybe about 8 hours, because we were a little bit closer than if I was leaving from Melbourne, but we had charging stops a few times along the way. Anyway. Okay, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, so going back. Okay, this is like pushing stuff onto a stack and then popping it back again. So we are going to back up again. We went down a rabbit hole with this, with figuring out efficiency of omni-wheel drive systems. And so that is the Kiwi robot base, which Andy has. So yeah, anyway, Andy's plan is to take his SO101, so this exact SO101 that you can see right here in his video, he's going to take that and attach it to his Kiwi base so that it can drive around. And the idea is that these are kind of complementary projects. They are useful independently. They're kind of standalone. So you can build the SO101 and use it clamped onto a bench in a fixed position. You can build the Kiwi robot base and use it for whatever purposes you want, but they are designed to be complementary so that you can attach one to the other, and now you have a robot that can drive around with a manipulator. Yeah. As Andy says, Adelaide to Coorong to Great Ocean Road to Melbourne on a motorbike. Time and distance quickly becomes irrelevant. Yeah, it's just a nice trip. It is about the journey, not the destination, and not getting there as quickly as you can. So, a quick question for Mitchell. Is there anything going on with the... I've just tried refreshing the TTS to see if it would come back, and at the moment it is just saying upcoming. So it knows that this stream exists, but it just hasn't seen that it is live right now, and I don't really know why. Scott says stacked squirrels. Yeah, we are building a stack of squirrels. It's like a club sandwich of squirrels. Scott says, only robot on a wheel base I've ever dealt with. The base alone weighed in at 36 tons. Robot could only lift about 100 kilos. Oh. Oh, Jack's Tech said, looks like the new Roomba models that can pick up socks and laundry so it doesn't get stuck on them. Yeah, I saw a little bit of hype about those when they came out, because they were featured on the usual home automation sort of channels, but I've not looked recently about real world results, whether they actually work as well as you would think they do, well, or as badly as you might think they would. That looks cool. That looks very different though. Maybe that's an early version? I don't know. Well, Robo. Okay, so that has 2 discs. That looks like it's got laser cut. Yeah, anyway. The Kiwi 3D printed mobile robot. Nice. Oh, looks like this has some kind of a frame over it. Hang on, I'm going to pause that. Maybe to give an overview camera. So I just want to see if I can get it over. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Funny. So this is talking about the VWVVR. So these are the vectors, and alpha and r being the radius. What was he trying to calculate here? Was it just like rates of turn or something? Oh yeah, so Vx. So we're getting the velocity forward along the x-axis. I wouldn't have called that the x-axis, I'd call that the y-axis. But you can arbitrarily define whatever axis you like. Okay, so velocity x is the sine of alpha, which is this angle here. Vx sine a. Yeah. So, some cool vector stuff there. This is like the clever and actually knows what he's talking about version of what I was just trying to do with this. Yeah, this is like the version of this. So anyway, what I was just trying to do was get to I think so he's got the SO101 arm there on the base. You can see a couple of interesting things. There is the camera attached up here at the wrist joint connected to the manipulator. There is also a camera very low down here, almost at ground level, looking straight out horizontally. Jacksec says velocity is a vector. Oh, looks more like V means vector, and Jacksec says velocity is a vector. Yeah, so is there another camera up here? Maybe, I don't know. But that was my first thought when I saw this overall structure. I'm trying to find a frame. Look how far up this goes. I'm trying to find a frame of the video that is showing the top. Oh, here we go. Yes, look at this. That looks like maybe a LiDAR or something. Is that just like a regular camera, or is it a depth camera? But in any case, he's got this structure coming up high above it. So he's got an overall sensor of some kind looking down, which my guess is that is either a LiDAR or just like an optical camera. But to me, that looks like a little LiDAR unit. And that allows the computer, the software, to see the objects down on the ground in front of it, and it could also track itself, like it would be able to see its own manipulator. These robot arms have feedback in the joints. So if the arm is in a certain position, the control system knows all of the angles involved, so it can calculate the position of the end effector by doing figuring out the geometry of each of the intermediate joints. So in that case, this is like a forward kinematics problem, not a reverse kinematics problem. But if you wanted to move the end effector to a particular location, then you have an inverse kinematics problem. So you need to back calculate the angles of all of the intermediate joints in order to achieve the end result of putting the manipulator into that spot, and then send the control signals to the joints to move it, to make it get there. Yeah, inverse kinematics is back calculating the joint positions to achieve the end result. Forward kinematics is figuring out the end result when you know the joint positions. Coffee, says Pete. Pete. Pete says, I skip the problems of getting confused by always being confused. That indeed is my philosophy for life as well, Pete. And he says, surprisingly, typically for the robot, the motor position feedback is only used during training. During runtime production, only the cameras are used. Really? That is very interesting. Wow. I wouldn't have thought of that. That seems like an area for investigation. Yes, because because reasons. Okay. Right. Oh, Jack's Tech said, so it's doing slam. Yes, that is the idea. So you could do, the idea is that you're combining, controlling the movement of the thing, awareness of its environment, so it can do slam, and you could do, like, there are so many other things, other ways that you could expand on this. You could put a, you could use LiDAR for detecting the environment and figuring out its position relative to walls and corners and things. Scott says, the squirrel counter has overloaded. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Jackstack said simultaneous location and mapping. Yeah. So slam. Yes. So that's the idea. So this sort of thing is where Andy is going with his Lakiwi plus the robot. I asked the question earlier, and I don't know if I missed doing the, I don't know if I missed a response. What is the origin of the Lakiwi? Andy told me this only like 3 days ago, and I can't remember. Lakiwi, as the name of the robot, is some, yeah, Pete said, someone's tummy is grumbling. Yeah, that'd be me, that'd be mine. And I can't remember what it was. There is some meaning behind the name. It is not just a random name, and it is not just named after the flightless bird from New Zealand. Yeah. So, ooh, Crispian says, Imi just made Parma toasties. Nice. Yeah, Michael Wire says, Lakiwi equals the New Zealander. Yeah, but there is some other reason. Isn't a kiwi one of three things? A small fruit, a small bird, or a somewhat larger human? Yeah, but there is, I can't remember what it was. It means something else in another language, in French, I think. It's actually nothing to do with the fruit, birds, or humans. So, point being, oh, okay, now I'm going to do a little promo. If I can find it. So if anybody is interested in this stuff, and I'm going to find, where are we? Sorry, I am looking for something before I bring it up on screen because I don't want to just reveal my internal LinkedIn stuff. MLAI. Groups. No, not there. It is. Sorry, I said LinkedIn, and where I should have been going was Meetup. Yeah. Oh, get these pop-ups out of the way. Here we go. Here is a little promo for the thing in a couple of weeks. The MLAI meetup. Look at this. This is the event coming up. Seeing plus doing, vision, language, action policies, SO 101, and collective ... That is on November 18. So that is 16 days away. Quick, Andy, work on your talk. So this event and collective computation is Andy talking about the SO 101 and vision language action policies. Yeah, so typically incorporate transformer architectures by encoding multimodal embeddings such as vision and text instructions whilst tokenizing robot state and action sequences. So, yes, I'm going to drop this link into the chat as well. Okay, so that link that I just dropped in is to the MLAI meetup, which happens down in Docklands once a month. And yeah, Andy and I went to the last one, and Andy is speaking at the next one. So if you are interested in this sort of thing, come along and see Andy doing hopefully some live demos with his SO 101 stuff. That would be really cool. So, right, where am I? Where am I? Hang on. Lung clearing time again. Seeing this thumbnail made me think of the robot being made out of wood. It's been 3D printed out of this material that is sort of a pine color, but it would be kind of cool to CNC machine all of the parts required for an SO 101 out of timber and make a wood robot. Scott says, you're in Australia? Yes. I am in Australia. Yes. Is this news? Crispian says balsa. Oh yeah, to make it nice and light. What you could do is use balsa. Balsa doesn't CNC machine very nicely. That's the only thing. It burrs up really quickly. Oh, you're... Scott was just answering my question. Yeah. Foreign which goes, yeah, is the Kiwi. Okay. So we've been talking about Kiwi for the last 30 minutes. Okay. All right. What am I doing? Oh, look, build a robot to entertain my cat. Well, something that Andy has been trying to do for a while now is robots to entertain his dog, and the dog isn't interested. Hang on, I got to get on to, where are we? So this is, I want to get onto the end result here. Yeah, I think entertaining a cat with a laser pointer is kind of a like you know it's going to work. The cat is not going to be able to resist the laser pointer. So here we can see the robot is holding a laser pointer, and it can move it around, and let's see it pointing at the ground. Yes, the cat is chasing the laser pointer. So yes, Andy has been doing some very interesting stuff with robot dogs, and working on the idea of the theory of mind in terms of having the it looked like it got bored there for a moment. So one of the goals is to have the real dog and the robot dogs interact. But I think so far Astra doesn't seem particularly interested in the robot dogs. But Scott says both of our cats would beat the robot to death. Jack said laser cut it and additively manufacture with balsa. Oh, well, that's one thing you could do. You'd glue the things together, so you'd make it out of a whole lot of layers. But what you could do is use balsa, CNC machine it to get the basic shape, and then paint it very liberally with like a clear sealant, and that would soak into the balsa quite a bit, and then go hard, and it would give you a much harder finish. It'd be a little difficult screwing into it because screw threads wouldn't grip very well. Crispian says epoxy paint. Ooh, Andy says Astra and La Robot. Okay, check this. Oh, there's Astra. Hello, Astra. And La Robot. Oh, she's a little bit concerned there because the robot was getting... Oh, look. Oh, I see. Astra just took a treat. So the robot had... the robot was holding a dog treat. That's cool. So, and then passed it to Astra. So, where are we? Tabraze asked, is that not dangerous for the cat's eyes? I think if the laser power is low enough, then the eye will blink faster than damage can happen. So that's one of the reasons that it is legal to have laser pointers. If a laser pointer was a device that you could just point at people and they would go blind, they wouldn't be legal. They are legal if the power is low enough that it can't do damage in the time taken for a reflex blink. So if you point a laser pointer at someone's eye and turn it on, their blink reflex will close the eye faster than damage can occur. Yeah, on Keyword says, keyword there being low powered, direct hits will still cause damage. Yeah, it's not a great idea to point a laser pointer in someone's eye. You should really, really avoid that. Yes. Jack Sack said this is where the class of laser comes from. Yes. Yes, that's right. So the laser class is related to the power output. Johnny is in the chat. Good day, Johnny. Welcome. Dentistry says, got to go as it's nearly 1 a.m. Well, thank you for hanging around and get yourself some sleep. So that must be 1 a.m. Sunday for you, I would guess. So it is very late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, which means you get a Sunday morning sleep in. So go and do that. Crispian said, Isaac Asimov wrote a great story about blinding a tyrannical world leader while he was standing on the viewing point at Arecibo. Arecibo? How do you pronounce it? So that is the telescope in, is it in Mexico or somewhere? Where is Arecibo? Yeah, Cibo. Okay. Thanks, Michael. You've corrected my pronunciation. I've read it. Oh, in Puerto Rico. Okay. Yeah. So South America, but further south. So I have read that name many times. I'm sure I've heard people talking about Arecibo, but not as often as I've read it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, on that subject, yeah, so Crispian said, Isaac Asimov wrote a great short story about blinding a tyrannical world leader. A great story, not necessarily a short story. Last week, I think it was, Andy lent me his copy of Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke, which I read last week, which was yeah, that was an interesting story as well. Childhood's End. So we're Scott says, have visited Arecibo, was impressive. And Pete said, on the subject of dislike, John's face. Arecibo, hasn't it partly collapsed now? Arecibo telescope. I vaguely recall that it had fallen apart and there wasn't the money to rebuild it. Yeah, look at this. So you've probably seen, even if you didn't know what it was called, you've probably seen pictures of this radio telescope, which featured in the movie Contact, I think, and a few other things. Like visually, it is just incredible. It's this huge thing. You don't really get much of a sense of scale from this, apart from the fact that that is a building down there and those are windows just along there. This thing is enormous. And, oh, look at this. Telescope collapse. Yeah, it had been, yeah, you can see buildings down there. It had been falling into a progressive state of disrepair for a while. And then at some point, it went crunch and bad stuff happened. So, which is very sad for such a historic site. Yeah. What Earth lost. Anyway. Yeah. I wish I could have seen it back when it was still in a good functional state, before it collapsed and ended up looking like this. Because just from the photos, it was a spectacular installation. Before, after. Yeah, you can see here. This was it with the sensor horn suspended above it, which then collapsed and it fell into the reflector. Oh, I don't want to end on this because this is a sad story. This is a sad note. I want to end on something positive. All right. Oh, Grant says GoldenEye as well. Okay, yeah. Also in a Bond film, GoldenEye. It's been... yeah, it's a pile of scrap now. Says Scott. Such a pity. Michael says the Arecibo cricket ground, if you get the reference. Gerald42 says a movie crew did significant damage. Oh, okay. Crispian says the story of its construction is a fascinating one. Yeah, that would be interesting. I would like to learn more about that. Oh, wow. The chat is up and running. Haha, cool. So TTS is probably working now, if anybody wants to try it. Crispian says a good rabbit hole. Yeah, a good rabbit hole. You just said /woohoo. Say, okay, maybe it will work. Hopefully we're going to get a whole bunch of things through now. Is it going to work? Event triggered woohoo.
Scott Miller said,
yes.
Moo. Yay. Outside the box said, woohoo.
Yeah, it's working. TTS will spool things from 90 minutes ago. No, when it's doing the announcements, it doesn't say ones that are historical. It just does them as it detects them. So we don't have the problem of it saying a whole lot of things. So remember, next Sunday is barbecue day. So come along, come along. How do I get out of here and go to view page? View page, there. Superhouse.tv/barbecue. Come along. Come visit and see what has changed in the lab since the last barbecue, which has been a while now. What has changed in here? A few things.
Outside the box said, hanging for the barbecue.
Hanging for the barbecue? Yeah. Was the solder stencil printer in here at the last barbecue? I can't remember. It would have been... Yes, it would have been. It would have been. Because that was just after I got back from the dive trip and the printer arrived basically like the day after I got back from that dive trip. So yes, the solder stencil printer would have been here. We've done many boards through that printer now. So my board assembly database, it just popped over the 5,500 mark in serial numbers. So we've assembled 5,500 PCBs in probably the last 2.5 years ish, something like that. What am I doing? I don't know. I am just clicking around in stuff now. And so anyway, the point of all of this, before I went down the rabbit hole of talking about the robot and the Kiwi and force vectors and all those sorts of things, is that I have this box, which is full of parts. I have 3D printed, so you can see that there are black and orange parts in here. So I printed a pair of arms in black. So I've got 1 leader and 1 follower printed in black. I've printed a leader in orange. No, sorry, a follower in orange, and I still need to print a leader. I'm not so sure about the orange. I think I might print a yellow one. I really like the color of the yellow filament. It looks really cool. These are the interface boards for driving the motors. You can see it's got a 3-way connector on there and USB on here.
Been an infinite recursive squirrel stream.
It has been
Outside the box,
almost.
It was a good way of avoiding actually doing anything.
Yeah, true. So power comes in here. This is the interface that the first motor plugs into. You can plug USB in here and communicate from your computer to control the motors. Or you can plug a Arduino Xiao in. You can see it's got little headers. It's actually very hard to see on this overhead camera at the moment. Hang on, I wonder if it'll work better if I move that out of the way and put it here. Not really. There are headers on here, because I've got it zoomed out so far to show more of the bench. There are headers on here where you can plug in a Arduino Xiao, and then you can run software on the Xiao to drive things, like drive motors that are attached. But for the purposes of running this with in the robot installation, you don't have the Xiao in there. You just have USB plugged into the adapter board, and USB connects to a motor. So the motors are these servos, which have a couple of connections in the bottom, and they come with different gearbox ratios. You can see that this particular one is 7.4 volt, and it's a 1 to 147 gearbox ratio. So being a 7 volt motor, this would be one from the leader arm, and you daisy chain them. These are all on a serial communications bus. So the idea is that you plug your cable into the little interface board. So you have one interface board per robot, and then this plugs into the either port, I don't think it matters which one, of the of the bottom here. When I say daisy chain, they're kind of, the concept of a daisy chain is normally you have an output going to an input and then an output going to an input, but in fact these are all just on a common bus. So it's not point to point between things, it is a bus that they are wired to. So these two connectors are in parallel, they just join together. And then the next motor, whichever one it happens to be, you put another connector into here, and then that goes to the next motor. And each of the motors you give an ID to, so you have to set them up so that they have an ID on the bus. And then you can send a command and say, tell this one, so this one would have ID of 2, and this one has ID of 4, and you'd say, motor 2, I want you to move to this position, and motor 4, I want you to move to this position at this speed, or whatever. And that's how the robot works. So I need to, oh, and here is the start of assembly of the base of one of the arms. So you can see the cable comes through the back here, and then the control board mounts there. This is designed to have, I think it's the Arduino Xiao, slides into that spot. And the control board mounts on here, and then you have USB coming out. This plugs into that, and then this goes up the structure to the next motor in the chain and plugs into it, and so on and so forth until you have the entire robot assembled. So this motor is I've covered up the sticker, but this is motor 1, and it's the first one in the chain, and it'll be given ID of 1. So what I need to do before I actually attach anything to this is I have to calibrate these motors. I have to run a little utility with all of this connected up and power it up and tell it to identify the motor, and then set it 0 point, because if I just assemble this now, if I attach the horn onto the top of this motor, this may not be at the 0 position. I don't know what position it is, and it needs to be at a known starting point so that it then doesn't try to drive through the body of itself or whatever. It needs to know the position for the limit of the range of motion that the robot can mechanically accommodate. So I've got to hook up the motors with this, run the calibration software, 0 all the motors and give them identifiers, and then I can physically assemble the rest of this robot. And then I'll be able to start having some fun with the software side of it. Yeah. Anyway, my very vague plan was on the stream today to actually try hooking this up and try to get the calibration stuff working, but too many squirrels. Crispian said rotary engine. No, I don't think that was. Wagonline says that means the motors need to be addressable. Yes, they are addressable. So what happens is that when you plug it in, when you plug the motor in and run the calibration software, you do that with only one motor and like one motor connected, and you tell it what its ID is going to be. So it says this ID is now motor 2, and then you plug another motor in and you say you are motor 3, and then they store that. So later on when you plug it all together, you can address the individual motors. Michael says you have minus 10 minutes to finish it. Yeah. And he said for the robot arms, after both arms are assembled is a second calibration so that both arms have the same endpoints, etc. Yeah, cool. Right. Michael says it'll look all DeWalt in yellow and black. Yeah. Okay, so now the other thing is that Matt's hexapod, the one that I have shown you previously, where I am going to see if at least I'm pretty sure I've shown you Matt's hexapod at some point in the past. I'm just going to do a very quick scroll back through my camera. Oh, here we go. So this is Matt's hexapod sitting on my bench. When was this? 8th of the 9th. So this was nearly 2 months ago now. Really? Time goes that quickly. So anyway, this is his hexapod, and as you can see, it has hobby servos. These are decent hobby servos, but they are still like 10-plus-year-old hobby servos. So our plan, and they are all controlled with this big mess of wiring that all comes back to this PWM breakout board that drives all, how many are there? 18 servos, because there are 3 servos per leg and there are 6 legs. And I can just barely do 3 times 6. And the answer I get is 18. I hope that is correct. And so there are 18 output channels on this PWM driver board, which is moving all of those legs. Hang on, I'm going to go back to the start where it stands up, where it goes whoop, it stands up on the bench. So, and you can hear it buzzing away because these little servos buzz like crazy. Our plan is to replace these servos with something better, and so part of messing around with the SO101 is to learn about these motors and pick one of the motors to use to replace it, and then we're going to have to slightly redesign the hexapod to accommodate the different geometry. And I'm going to 25. Let's see, is this one? I don't know what this video does. Let's see what it does. Does it work? Walk? Oh yeah, so this was it walking a little bit on the bench. And I think it starts to fall off the bench at the end. Oh, it's walking on a PCB. Yep, it's walking off the bench. So, anyway. At the moment, that is where Matt's hexapod is up to. And our plan is to replace those motors and make it work better. And then do some stuff with the control software. Maybe incorporate some of the machine learning control things that Andy is working on into that. Stephen W says, do we gaslight John into believing that 3 times 6 is actually 24? It wouldn't take much with how little trust I have in my own mathematical ability. All right, I probably should have more trust in my mathematical ability. I did a lot of maths at school. I did a lot of maths at primary school. My educational history is a little unusual, as I have told you before. So, yeah, I'm gonna go because my stomach is telling me that I really should go. So, yeah, okay, there is some political stuff going on in the chat that I'm going to avoid falling into the rabbit hole of. That is one rabbit hole I'm not going to fall into today, at least. Other days, maybe I would, but right now my stomach is telling me that it shouldn't. Yeah, Stephen says, we think John finished kindergarten, but can't say with any certainty. Yeah, I may not have finished. I think that's where I belong. So, anyway, summary is, I did a thing, I designed this thing.
Outside the box said, Uru.
Uru, Uru Crispian, and Uru everyone else. Hopefully by the time, oh no, these probably won't have arrived by the barbecue by next Sunday. No, production delays mean these PCBs I don't think will be here. They'll be close though. They should be on their way by then. And I will, yeah, so this one physically exists. This one does not physically exist yet. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you all have a cool week. Crispian and Scott, thank you.
Outside the box said, rest up and get Wellamora.
Yeah, I will get
Miller
Wellamora.
said, thanks, John. Fun stream. Now go back to recovering.
Yeah, I think part of recovering is going to involve, after this live stream, eating pizza.
Thanks, John.
And lying on the couch. And resting. Getting some energy back. Getting some back energy that I burned over the last 2 and a bit hours. The last 2.35 hours. Hang up! Yeah, this is like one of those things where you're on the phone and you say, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. I don't know how to hang up. I am one of those annoying people. So anyway, I'm going to go. I am going to go. Thank you very much for coming along. I appreciate you hanging out with me on a Sunday. And if you're in Melbourne next Sunday, come along to the barbecue. Come and chat in person. And I will talk to you next week. In the meantime, do something that makes you feel good and then come and brag about it next week. Do the nerd brag thing, and I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.